to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business, and welcome to a very special extra episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today is the 5th birthday of this podcast. That's right, first show ever, February 15th, 2016. And you know me, I love a good party, and I have gone out of my way every year to mark the podcast birthday with a birthday party. Unfortunately, last year and this year, due to COVID, an in-person birthday party was not possible, but that doesn't mean that we still can't celebrate, and we still can't be thankful and grateful and mark it as the milestone that it is. And I have to say, in talking with my team about ideas and concepts for marking this milestone, Diana had an excellent idea. Diana said to me, LuAnn, number 5 is referred to as the number of humanity. The reason for this, she said, is because humans have 5 fingers, they have 5 toes, they have 5 appendages when you include the head, right? So 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. We have 5 senses. We have 5 major systems of the body. And she said that this is the number that represents all of us together. And it's what joins us together as a human race. And so she said, what if you took a position? What if you took a thought, jumping off of that? And so I gave it some thought and we talked some more. And what I came up with was thinking about what I'd love to share with you as big picture ideas, as things to make you think not only about your business, but beyond your business, beyond your day-to-day. And so I've come up with some categories here. And I want to just tell you off the bat, all links for everything I mentioned will be in the show notes, okay? So let's start with 5 quotes I'd like you to consider. The first is, "You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist" by Indira Gandhi. What I like about this quote is I'm certain that Indira Gandhi meant it as it relates to us as humans, right? Do not go to somebody with a clenched fist. Do not make war first, okay? Come in the feeling and the aspect of coming together. And I love that. I love that it also applies specifically to business too. I say all the time, we've learned from different people that have been on the show, I've learned it in my own experience, that the number 1 rule of sales and negotiation is to look for agreement first. This is the way we look for that win-win, right? And so when we look for agreement, we're looking at the other person and we're looking at the things that we can say, I'm okay with that. I'm in agreement with that. I accept that about you, right? And that is so important to do. And I think that that is summed up in this quote, "You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist." The second quote is, "Take your dreams seriously, and author is unknown." Interestingly, I have this quote in a art in my kitchen. I picked it up at Home Goods or TJ Maxx or whatever it is, but I saw that many years ago and I said, oh yes, that's coming home with me. And I love this because every day I look at it and every day it reminds me that if I can dream the idea, then that idea is worth considering seriously, right? I want you to think about that. If you have a dream, then you must take it seriously. You must at least explore it. You must at least investigate it. You must at least give yourself the opportunity to pursue it. Okay? The third one is Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn by John Maxwell. I love this one too because, you heard me say 1,000 times, if you don't want to make a mistake today, stay home in bed, right? And you've also heard me say 1,000 times, if you've made a mistake, then I want you to wind it back all the way to the place where you could have done something different to change that outcome. Okay, so these are things that I live by. These are things that I teach my children, my employees by. And I really feel like this is embodied in this quote. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, right? All right, number 4 is by Oprah Winfrey. Every time you state what you want or you believe, you're the first person to hear it. It is a message to both you and to others about what you think is possible. Don't put a ceiling on yourself. You see, what Oprah is saying here is when you state what you want or you believe, you're the first person to hear it. You are putting it into the universe. And the thing is, the nuance in here, I want you to understand when she ends it with don't put a ceiling on yourself, is because if you state something negative, if you believe something limiting, you're the first person that hears it, right? So if you say, I can't run a profitable business, you're putting it out into the universe. You're saying it and you are the first person to hear it. And then, gosh forbid, it turns into a belief that you believe, the thing between your ears. Okay? So what she's saying to you is be careful what you say. All right? And of course, she's also saying to you to rejoice in the things that you say that are things that put things into the universe that are positive and that are good energy and are good manifestations. Okay? But don't put a ceiling on yourself. All right. The 5th one is, won't it be wonderful when Black history and Native American history and Jewish history and all of U.S. history is taught from one book, just U.S. history? Maya Angelou. Now, we are, if you're listening in real time, in February, and this is Black History Month. And this is exactly this sentiment, right? It's history is our history, inclusive all of us. Right now, it is, I think it's important, Black history. This is not Don't Have Black History Month, because we are still very much in the process of learning and understanding and having our eyeballs opened, okay? But what Maya is saying is, won't it be wonderful when we have evolved to the point that we just understand that U.S. history is all of us? What do they say? The history books are written by the conquerors. Is that saying? I mean, think about that at a very real level. When you read a history book in any curriculum in the U.S. and it's skewed to the white race, isn't that a disservice to all of us? So, won't it be wonderful when Black history and Native American history and Jewish history and U.S. history is taught from one book? Maya Angelou. All righty. Now, I'd like you to consider these charities and causes. These are 5 charities and causes to consider. The first one is Kipps Bay Boys and Girls Club. Did you know that it's not just a show house? I mean, did you know? So, of course, in the interior design industry, we've all heard of Kipps Bay Show House, right? Of course. But do you know the mission of the Kipps Bay Boys and Girls Club? The show house is designed to raise money for the Kipps Bay Boys and Girls Club, okay? Here's the mission. I'm going to read to you their mission and vision. The mission is to enrich and enhance the quality of life for young people by providing educational and developmental programs with special emphasis on youngsters between the ages of 6 and 18 who come from disadvantaged or disenfranchised circumstances. And the vision of the Kipps Bay Boys and Girls Club exists to assist young people in realizing and achieving their potential for growth and development, utilizing their state-of-the-art facilities, trained and motivated staff, and nationally renowned programs to produce positive contributors to society. Okay? Who they serve. Kipps Bay addresses many critical needs of children, adolescents, and young adults, and these include a safe place where they can belong, a safe place to grow socially with peers, adult mentoring, a place to challenge oneself physically and intellectually and be recognized for accomplishments and opportunities to give back something to others. So, all day long, I wish for you, if you are interested with the honor of being a Kipps Bay show house interior designer, I wish that for you. For all the rest of us who would love to go to see the work of our colleagues at the Kipps Bay show houses, yay, yay, yay. But let's remember what's behind that. And let's remember that all throughout the year, this could be an organization that you might really help in their mission. All right, the second one is the Black Artists and Designers Guild. The Black Artists and Designers Guild is a global collective of independent Black artists, makers, and designers. They say that we are the creators and innovators behind the world's bespoke art, products, and spaces for residential, commercial, and hospitality environments. And the mission of the BADG is building a more equitable and inclusive creative culture by advancing a community of independent Black makers in creative industries. They are committed to investing in Black ancestral futures by taking ownership of their narrative and creating spaces to celebrate Black creativity and culture through design. And I'm very excited to share with you that in just a few short weeks, I will be finally interviewing my longtime friend and colleague from my WindowWorks business, New York interior designer and FIT professor LuAnn Lewis. LuAnn is a founding member of the Black Artists and Designers Guild, and I know in this conversation we're going to learn much more about this very terrific group. And it's a crazy thing because LuAnn, speaking of Kipps Bay, how I originally met LuAnn, we met LuAnn. LuAnn and I met before that, but within the first year of me meeting him doing business a year or two, he earned the honor of having a Kipps Bay show house room. And we did that Kipps Bay show house room for LuAnn. I don't even think he was 30 years old. That's how talented this man is. And we have been friends and colleagues ever since. And so I'm excited. And, him and I have said a dozen times in 5 years, what the heck? We got to get you on the show. So looking forward to that. The third charitable organization that I like you to consider is His House for Her. This organization is founded by my stepsister, Renee Arnett. And the mission of His House for Her is to share the love of Jesus by providing trauma-informed practices in a supportive housing environment to meet the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of at-risk women in recovery. A woman's season at His house provides her with support to have her needs met physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Physically, His House for Her offers safe, clean housing because they know it's a must in order to be able to heal and focus on long-term goals. Their beautiful property provides room to grow, provides transportation for appointments and employment, and food choices that will make it possible for the residents to take over and learn the basic life skills of planning and preparing nutritious meals so that their bodies can recover from the harmful effects of substance abuse. Emotionally, understanding trauma and healing is necessary to avoid repeating destructive behaviors. At His House for Her, they are able to provide properly trained staff and curriculum that will enable women to heal from past hurts, define healthy boundaries, and learn proper self-care so that they can live independent and free from substance abuse and misuse. And spiritually, understanding that we are loved and that we have purpose is crucial for resilience and preserving persevering, I should say, through difficult times. At His House for Her, they provide Christ-centered studies and events that nurture the spirits of women and reassure them of God's love, forgiveness, and purpose for them. The desire of the men and women at His House for Her is to provide and help the whole person heal. All right, now, number 4 is Housing Works. Housing Works is a healing community of people living with and affected by HIV/AIDS. The mission of Housing Works is to end the dual crisis of homelessness and AIDS through relentless advocacy, the provision of life-saving services, and entrepreneurial businesses that sustain their efforts. One of the fundraising initiatives of Housing Works is the fabulous Design on a Dime event, which was founded in 2004 by interior designer James Honeyford. This event challenges interior designers to create unique room vignettes curated with donated merchandise from well-known home decor brands and artists. All the merchandise in these one-of-a-kind rooms is then sold at charitable prices to design-savvy attendees. In 2016, Housing Works grew the event and expanded it to Miami. 2018 marked their most successful year ever, raising $1.8 million. And since its inception, the Design on a Dime event has raised over $17 million. Now, again, in our industry, you've probably heard of Design on a Dime. It's like a tongue twister. I know at WindowWorks, we've been very fortunate to have been asked by several designers throughout the years if we can donate fabric or shades or upholstered items to them in their rooms for Design on a Dime. And we always do. We gladly do it. And by the way, if you're ever invited to do a room and you're local to me, don't hesitate to ask me to donate something to you. I'm happily will do it. But again, it's like Kipps Bay. Do we remember what's going on behind it? Or do we just come to it as this fabulous cocktail party and all these pretty things for sale? I know this is not the way. This is not a blanket statement about everyone in our industry. Of course, that's a ridiculous thing to say or think. I'm just encouraging each of us to always look behind the things that we do in relations to the charities and the ways that we spend our time to the mission behind what the charity is doing, right? Number 4, we have Savvy Giving by Design. Now, if you remember in the first year of the podcast, I interviewed Susan Winterstein. And since then, Susan and I have become great friends. And Susan Winterstein started Savvy Giving by Design in 2014. The inspiration for Susan came when she met a local teen, Casey Harvey, who had been diagnosed with cancer and was facing a full year of treatment. Susan wanted to help and she wasn't sure how, and then she landed on it. She gathered her local team of contractors and offered their talents to make over Casey's room at no cost to the family. After seeing the relief and joy that this new room brought to Casey and her family throughout the entire year of her treatment and recovery, Susan was inspired to continue and to help as many families as she could, okay? And if you listen to that episode, I'll put it in the show notes, you'll hear the passion in Susan's voice. And what you also will find is that since that episode aired on the podcast, many of our colleagues have gone on to open Savvy Giving by Design chapters around the U.S. So I know several of the designers firsthand that have opened up chapters. I know Anastasia Harris has opened one here in New Jersey. There's, oh my goodness, I'm not going to name you because I'm going to leave somebody out. But the idea and the thing is this is a fabulous way to put your energies together. And Susan has created a whole template for you to do it so you don't have to invent the process. So I encourage you to go back and listen to Susan's episode and familiarize yourself with it. And in that episode, there'll be links to the other designers that have gone on to start Savvy Giving by Design chapters. And Susan is also scheduled to come on the show in this spring to update us on all of the details and how big her organization has grown since then. And the 5th one that I want to mention to you to think about is the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning young people under 25. The mission of the Trevor Project is to end suicide among this community of young people. And the Trevor Project was founded more than two decades ago in a response to the public health crisis impacting the LGBTQ youth, a crisis whose magnitude is huge and one that they have now worked tirelessly to end. LGBTQ young people are more than 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers, and suicide remains the second leading cause of death among all young people in the United States. In 2019, their research team published the nation's first estimate of LGBTQ youth considering suicide in partnership with leading experts from across the country. This groundbreaking research showed that over 1.8 million LGBTQ young people in the United States consider suicide every year. It's a pretty sobering statistic, I have to say. And if this is something that touches you, your family, your heart, then I think the Trevor Project is a good place to spend some energy. And then as a little bonus in charitable organizations to consider is I would just put out a shout out for the National Alliance on Mental Health, NAMI.org. Okay, NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for the millions of Americans affected by mental illness. All right. Now I want to share with you 5 books to consider. The first I have to always go to is the book that has had the most impact on my life is The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I've told you many times, my Aunt Honey gave me this book when I was 10 years old. It is a very quick read, probably 45 minutes. It is a parable, okay? And imagine me reading it as a 10-year-old. So as a 10-year-old, I'm completely sucked into the parable of it, the story of it, but I'm also enamored with the big lessons of it. If you pick the book up and read it, there are 10 scrolls. The scroll marked 1, the scroll marked 2. I will persist until I succeed. I will increase my value by 100-fold. I will live today as if it were my last. I mean, I haven't probably read this book in 15 years, and I could probably come up with all 10 scrolls right now if I really gave it a minute. The idea is that so often during the course of the day, that's exactly what I will say to myself. I will persist until I succeed. It was such an instrumental book in creating foundational pillars for how to run a life, in my opinion, quite frankly. And so I encourage you to read this very simple, very easy book and see if it maybe touches you in a significant way, the way it did for me. The second book is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Here's what I love about this book. Okay, straight up business book, right? Here's what I love about this book. My aha in reading this book was, oh, LuAnn, you don't have to be good at finances. Yeah, that was my aha, okay? Because what happens is, I believe, this is a common experience for many of us as creatives. We're smart. We're go-getters. We can get things done. We rely on ourselves. We persevere. We do all the things. And there's some times where you're just like, why can't I just get this? If I had a nickel for every conversation I've had with the Vin Man about certain financial concepts, and honestly, I would be like, what is with it with me? Like, what is the deal, And when I read this book, I was just saying to myself, oh, okay. You see, you here over here, this is you. This here, I think Michael calls that the entrepreneur, the manager, the entrepreneur, and the technician. When you read the description of the entrepreneur, it was like, yeah, just slap my face there. For the manager, slap Vincenzo's face there. For the technician, slap Billy's face there. And so then I stopped questioning myself and, just second guessing myself and thinking, why can't I do this? And instead, I started to think how grateful I was that Vinny can do that and Billy can do that. And this is my place. This is my role. This is what I bring to our business. Okay. So I also love it Because if you have any struggles in your business, if there's just something you just seem to be banging your head against the wall, maybe you'll have a similar aha. Maybe you'll find that you're the manager. Maybe you'll find that you're the technician. And so maybe you won't have that next aha, which is, wow, I've got a partnership where all three of us magically are the three separate, unique personalities that are required to run an exceptional business, right? But at least you'll know, I got to go find these people. You can hire exceptional people to support you in the roles that you're not good at. And so that's why I love the E-Myth. All right. Number 3, Profit First, Mike Michalowicz. I love this book too, for the same reasons, very similar reasons, I should say, is that what's interesting, what I'll tell you what I've learned when I've had conversations with different designers and business owners about Profit First. Designers who are finance savvy, like Beth Diana Smith, like Sandra Funk, like Kat Anderson, they tend to not use the Profit First method. And when we get into discussions about it, they sort of tend, and I'm not putting words in any one of these women's mouth because I can't remember the last one I spoke to, but this is the idea of someone that more often I learn is finance savvy. They will sort of be like, why do you need 6 bank accounts again? Like, can't you just look at your bottom line number in your account or in your QuickBooks and understand that number, 40% is cost of goods and X amount of percent is taxes and X amount of percent is payroll. And I'm like, what? Like, no, no, ma'am, no, sir. I cannot look at that big, huge number and just percentage out. Like, no. And so I find that if you are creative and numbers are not your strength, that the Profit First method is just so comforting, because when I open up my bank accounts every single day, I can see, what do I have in operations? What do I have in payroll? What do I have in profit? What do I have in taxes? Right? And it's like, I just feel like, okay, we're good. We can keep going along. And so at least it's worth a read, is my point. Profit First. So see what you think. The 4th one is What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey. I love this book. It is a book that is basically a collection of short essays by Oprah. And it is what she has decided that this lady knows for sure after all of her experiences in all of her iterations, right? From a TV newscaster to her having her own show, to having Super Soul Sunday, to all the things, to having the own network. And what I love to do is I keep this book handy, and I will once a week, sometimes 5 days in a week, I will just open the book and open it to whatever page it opens in. And I will just read that essay. And very often, it's so crazy how so often I will get a message, an idea, a confirmation, something from that exact essay at that moment. And so I don't know how the universe makes that happen, but I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I know that what I know for sure is I love the book by Oprah Winfrey, What I Know for Sure. The 5th book is As Man Thinketh by James Allen. What's interesting about this book is it is an undisputed classic, but is so rarely heard of. It's so crazy. It's a tiny little book. It's literally like, 3.5 by 4.5 in size. Okay. And this is another one of those books that my aunt gave to me 10, 11, 12 years old. And what I've learned about this book, and why I keep this book handy with me also, is that when I read it that first time, I remember thinking, I don't get it. Like, I get some of it, but I mostly don't get it. And I have read it in part and in whole all through the years since I was a kid. And what I learn and what I observe about this book is it's one of those books that the more you know and the more you experience and the more you grow as a person, the more I've gotten out of that book. And the more I go, oh, I get this now. You know what I mean? So I love that it's a book that makes me think. You know what it reminds me of? Here's a good example. It reminds me of yoga, right? You've heard me say this before. You can be in a yoga class with 20 people. One person, it can be their first day. Another person, it can be their 20th year of yoga practice. And you can all take the same class because yoga is a practice that is so individual. And I feel as if you never get to perfection. And in fact, that's not even the goal of yoga, right? It is to just be the best you can be on that day. You can't even see the goal of yoga is to be better than you were yesterday, because sometimes that's not even possible. It's just showing up and being your best today. But the thing about yoga is I feel like you learn something with every class. There's like that one little, oh, I didn't put my hip that way. Oh, I've never felt my shoulder in that part before. Oh, I finally can do pigeon, right? And so As Man Thinketh is sort of that kind of a book. It's that way. It stretches your brain and your mind in the way I think yoga does. And then I'm just going to give you a bonus. Number 6 bonus is Outlander, the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. There is nothing redeeming about this book but pure fun and joy, okay? Yeah, it's just a fun book. And of course, if you've seen the series on Netflix now, it is a series that is rather well done comparatively, that, sometimes it's so disappointing, the book to the series, and it is rather well done. And but the series is hands down amazing. And I've read the first 5 books 3 times each, 6, 7, 8. I don't even know if it's up to 8 or 9. I've read some once, some twice, but the first 5, 3 times each. So, alrighty. So that's 5 books I'd love for you to consider. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to consider 5 things that you can do to center yourself, right? To just bring yourself back when you need it. The first one is move. Right? Move your body. Walk in nature, preferably. Go for a run. Do yoga. How about ride your brand new Peloton bike? Are you one of the gabillion people that have ordered a Peloton bike during COVID? I ordered mine. It's coming the end of March, so connect with me on it. I'm thinking it's one of the things I'll be able to do with this blasted hip. So the first thing to do to center yourself in my book is always get up and move, all right? And I prefer it in one of these ways. The second thing to do to center yourself is breathe. It's breathe deeply with intention. Again, that yoga breath, that deep breath. Do you know that this actually changes your cells in a positive way at a molecular level? Like legitimately at a molecular level. Look it up. I'm not making it up. So breathe deeply, breathe with intention. The third thing is to count your blessings and count them for real. All right. Don't just hear me say this and then keep running along with your day, right? So what I find is that many of us, we take that moment, right, during the day, whether it's at the end of your day before you go to sleep at night, and you have a prayer practice or just a practice where you talk to yourself or to the universe and you do count your blessings. But I have to say that it's very powerful to do it during the day as well. So when you're in times of, any kind of distress or discomfort. So it could be as simple as, you might see a crappy, sentence or something on your Facebook page, or maybe you just had a bad interaction with a vendor or an employee. Really just 5 seconds there. And to just think about something that you're grateful for, it sort of just flips the switch on it, I find. So that's my third tip there, is to count your blessings for real. All right. The fourth one is do the hard thing. Have the hard conversation. Get it over with. Put it in your rear view mirror and let it go. Okay. If you're carrying around a hard conversation, whether it's for a day, a week, a month, or a lifetime, let it go. If you have to deal with something with an employee, a colleague, a family member, just do it. All right. Even if that person is not available to you anymore for whatever the reason, they've left the planet, they've left the state, whatever it is, just have the conversation. Before there were wireless cell phones and, talking to your phone through your car, you could find me riding down the highway all the time, ranting and talking, whether it's pleading or ranting or crying or talking, because that's like, to me, get it out, let it go. All right. And so I encourage you, do the hard thing, have the hard conversation, put it in your rearview mirror. When you carry around that stuff, you're the only one carrying it around. Do you realize that? Like, you really have to think about it. Whatever the conflict is, the sore point, the whatever it is with the other person, when you carry it around, it's not impacting their life. It doesn't matter to them. They don't know about it. It's really only impacting yours, and in a negative way. So let it go. And the fifth one is, when you need to center yourself, is look into the eyes of someone you love. I would love it if that person really loves you back, right? That's very powerful, right? Even if you have to do it during FaceTime or over FaceTime, I should say. Believe me, with COVID, I'm with you. I miss my people. I miss their eyeballs. But I have to say, even looking at my grandbabies' faces in FaceTime is just a joyful moment. And there are little rituals that you can create with the people in your life, even if you have to do it over Zoom or FaceTime or video. But don't forget to do it. All right. And if you can do it in person and really, really look at them and really just send them your love through your eyes, and then sit there for a moment and receive it back from them and from their eyes, it's a powerful way to center yourself again. All right. And now I want to just end this by thanking 5 people. All right. The first is the Vin Man, my husband, and our entire team at WindowWorks, from Vinny to Billy to Kim to everyone else. This never would have happened without all of you. And I just have to say, yay, all day long. And then to my uncle and my aunt, who are my audio editors at Room 2 Productions. And my mom goes into that group too. She goes into all the groups, but her there too, because she has been so instrumental in so many things with the podcast. But especially here, my aunt and my uncle, the audio production, their expertise, their dedication, their professionalism, the way they care about this show every single bit as much as I do, and my mother as well, has been absolutely the most amazing support for me in making this happen for 5 years. So thank you. And then my team here at LuAnn Niagara Inc., that includes my daughter Christy, Diana Simon. I have to include Nicole Heimer in this at Curio Electro, even though she's not my employee. She is absolutely critical to everything that happens here. These ladies are all the things. I mean, all the things. All right. Number 4 are my sponsors throughout the years. We have had so many sponsors, and each has magically come along exactly when I needed them, when we needed them to keep the train going. And I'm grateful to every single one that has come along in and out through the years. However, I actually must pay special attention to Kravit and My Doma Studio. Their continued, uninterrupted, loyal, and committed service to me and patronage to me and friendship and guidance and all the things to me and to you is absolutely remarkable. And I thank you. And the 5th and final is to you, my listener, my friend. You are the one who keeps me going. You keep me on task. You keep me motivated through your loyalty, your comments on social media, your emails, and your handwritten notes to me. And, even the chocolate chip cookies that you send me, I roll my eyes every time I get them. I mean, honestly, the ways over these last 5 years that you have expressed what the show has meant to you is really remarkable. Even when you go on social media and you talk about the show, or the reviews that you have left for me on iTunes, or the reviews that you have left for the books on Amazon. Each of these, all of these ways are just so valuable to me, and I need you to know how much I appreciate every single which way that you show up in my corner here, because that gets me every day showing up in your corner. So all I can say is thank you on that. And should we do 5 more years? What do you think, right? Let me know what you think on that. I'll tell you what I think. Whatever we do, wherever we go, I say we all decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.